Hey guys, I'm here with Ariel Paiement. She's one of my really good author friends, and today we're going to be kind of interviewing each other, so we'll probably go back and forth where I'll ask a question and she'll answer, and then she'll ask me a question and stuff to just kind of get deeper insight into us as writers and who we are and stuff. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope that you really enjoy this interview. Question number 1, for you, what is the hardest part about writing?
Man, okay. The hardest part about writing, I think, there are two parts that are difficult for me. The first part is, sometimes I find, especially with larger books, that I really have a difficult time with not getting sucked into the world building. I love to world build, and it is so easy to get sucked into it. With Pathway of the Moon, I wasn't in much danger of that because it initially started out as a project with a friend of mine that I was rooming with at the time. So I did a lot of the world building while waiting for her to write her chapter because it was collaborative. That never happened, but by the time that she handed the project over to me, she basically told me she felt like she had to read an entire history textbook in order to write in the world. I didn't intend it. I really didn't. But I got carried away, and that can easily happen with things that I'm working on. So if it's not a world I already established, like it is with Alcardia, I have to be careful because I can get caught up in the plotting and the world building, and I could spend forever there and write entire books that have nothing to do with the novel that I was supposed to be writing. So,
you can always put them in a bonus book of world building and stuff.
True.
I've done that with lots of different things.
We'll have the Silmarillion version too, except not in Middle Earth. That probably would be exactly what it ended up being, and only the most avid fans would ever read it.
Yeah,
that's kind of why I chose to go with Bane of Ashgrith to tell the history, and that particular series is a lot more interesting than a history textbook.
I think writing a story with it actually gives them a reason to get more invested in it because it's its own story,
exactly.
But the purpose is world building. That's cool.
I think for me the other part that's a lot can be really difficult is getting to the end of the book. I know that sounds really funny because most authors are super pumped that, hey, it's the end of the novel, I'm so excited, I'm going to get it into editing, or I'm going to do the editing myself, in my case. And then I'm going to put it out and it's going to be published and it's awesome. I do get that adrenaline rush, oh my goodness, it's almost over, but I don't know if it's just, I think it's mostly just for the longer pieces that I've been working on for a long time. So Pathway of the Moon, I ran into this. I went really strong for the entire book until I got to chapter 56 or 57. And then I was just okay, instead of putting out the chapter in a couple of hours, I'm going to just stretch out writing one chapter for weeks, because I know I don't need another update for next week for a while. So it's all good. So honestly, that book probably should have been finished a lot sooner than it was, probably by a month. But
wow, that's a long time to get out.
Dragged my feet. I was I don't really feel any motivation to do this, even though I was pumped about ending the story and I liked where it was going and I'm excited about where book 2 is going. I just could not find the motivation for it. I don't know.
When I see the end coming, I get that adrenaline rush that you're talking about, and I guess I'm excited for it to be over, but at the same time afterwards, I'm what do I do with my life for a while?
Yeah.
But I get that adrenaline rush, and it pushes me, and I'll write 8 to 9, 10,000 words in a night, and write the whole, what I call the boss fight, and the end, and the tying up loose ends. I'll get that done in one session, because I'm so pumped for the ending, and then it's over, and then I get lost with my life, and it takes me a minute to get out of that world and get into whatever I'm doing. And then if I don't have a book to write, I get book anxiety, or whatever you want to call it, writer's anxiety. Yeah. But
what do I do with myself?
Basically,
yeah. So I guess my first question for you would be, so we talked a little bit about the writing side of things. for you with the marketing side of things.
Okay.
What are some of your favorite ways to do that? Like, everybody has certain things that they do just because they know it drives their traffic and it's good for them, but they don't really like doing it. So what are the things that you actually really enjoy doing that are good marketing
Recently, I'm obsessed with my newsletter. I don't think it really helps drive my traffic at all, but I originally started with this newsletter builder called MailJet, and it's kind of like a branch, not really a branch off, but it's like an off-brand thing, and it was the only one I could find at the time where I could understand what to do with it, and not have to pay money for it, because I don't have any money. So I do the cheap routes for everything.
Right.
And it was just not that great because it's an off-brand. And then I discovered MailChimp. I knew about it, I tried it, and I got lost the first time. I didn't know anything about a newsletter, and I got so confused, and I don't know why, but I just did. And so I tried it about 3 different times, and I gave up, and I was just like, I'm not trying to figure this program out, whatever. And eventually, I think like the 3rd or 4th time I tried it, it clicked with me, and I finally figured it out. And I'm like, well, screw this old one, I'm trying this new one. And so I tried it.
Right.
And MailChimp, it's so beautiful. And it's almost like, I'm not an artist, but there's an art to putting my newsletter together and getting the structure together and putting the pictures in there.
Yep.
And even, I love putting like my book covers on there, and they're really big and they're gorgeous. And then you have the description, and then you can insert a link and it shows up blue, and it's like,
right.
And then of course the book
nice.
recommendation, it looks so nice. And it's just really pleasing. And then I send it off, and then it's over with, and I'm just like, I can't wait till next week, you know? And I just, not so much writing it and planning my newsletter, that's kind of okay. It's not bad, but it's not good either. But just putting it together when my internet doesn't lag is just really appealing to me. But mostly for what I do on the marketing side of things is Facebook groups. I don't know how much that helps either, but I'll just post the synopsis and link and everything, and just spam, not really spam, but post it in a bunch of groups and everything, and hope for the best. So, but the newsletter is definitely my number one favorite. So for my second question for you, would be, what is your favorite part about writing? Like, what do you love about it? Like, when you think of being passionate for writing, where does your passion lie with writing? Like, what do you love about it?
I guess I like the whole thing. Like, I like telling the stories. As funny as that may sound. I enjoy especially the characterization and the world building, because to me those two things together really bring it to life. Without them, you don't have a story.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm the storyteller. I love just getting into the characters and the plot line, and just, it's not really escaping reality, because reality is not that bad. It sounds like a terrible life, but just the living other worlds and characters and stories and stuff, it's just, there's something about getting immersed in that just, I absolutely love.
Definitely.
So.
What got you to do the 1,000,000-word challenge that you're doing this year? That's a lot of words.
Yeah, well, this is a hilarious story, actually, but one of my author friends, Katie Cherry, she keeps updating her fans about everything, and so I get her statuses and updates, and she was talking about how in 2020 she was going to do a 1,000,000-word challenge, and I was like, what is that? You know, that sounds cool. And she explained to me what it was, and that you write 1,000,000 words in a year, pretty self-explanatory. And so I was like, you know, that sounds like something I could do. And so to prepare for doing the 1,000,000-word challenge, I was like, I need to see how many words I write in a year naturally on my own. And so I calculated all my books, my novels, my short stories, my articles that I'd written for freelancing work. I counted my notes, because that's still writing something. My diary entries are always like a story summary of my day, so I counted those too. And all my word count, and I hit 1,000,000 words last year by accident. And that's including everything. So I was like, it surprised me so much. So I was like, all right, so in 2020, I want to do it with just my novels. I'm not counting my notes, my articles, or anything else that I'm writing, just my novels, not even the short stories I'm writing. And so that's where the idea came from, basically. And so I was like, in order to do this, I did the math, you have to have at least 20, because my books are always around 50,000 words, and at that length, you have to have at least 20 of them. And I was like, let's just go ahead and, and I came up with a few more, so I've actually got 23 right now. And I did the math. Technically, you only have to have 2,800 words a day, but then you have to write 365 days a year with no break, and I didn't know if I could handle that or not. And so my husband and I was like, if you write 4,000 words a day, you'll get it done earlier in the year, and you can start having a break for like November and the month of December and stuff. And I was like, okay, so I've been doing that, and so far I haven't had to take a break at all this year. I've been writing 4,000 words every single day without a break. But like tonight, was the first night I actually had that mood where I was like, I don't want to write tonight. Like all year I've always been like, okay, let's write. And I maybe had struggled to get into it sometimes, but eventually I did get into it and stuff. But tonight I was just like, I don't want to do it. But I ended up getting into the story and everything worked out fine. So, but that's where I got the idea.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Okay, so number 3. So for you, this may be a hard question to answer, but like for you, what is it like to get inside your characters' heads? Like, do you strictly follow like strict outline, or do you give your characters room to breathe? Like, what does it feel like? Do you really get deep into your characters' heads, or do you keep them at a distance in terms of like, you know, trying to stay focused on the plot line?
I guess it kind of depends.
Mm-hmm.
With longer novels, I definitely have a little more freedom for things to kind of vary up. I have a general end goal, but it's not really like the end of the world if things in the middle get changed up a little, as long as the beginning and the literal like middle end up staying relatively the same. How I get to those different points is not the end of the world. So with Pathway of the Moon, there were a lot of things that I didn't necessarily plan out too heavily in terms of plotting. I was kind of just like, I have a general idea of where this needs to go, but I allowed my characters and who they were to inform the decisions that got them there. So, like I had mentioned, Pathway of the Moon started out as a project that was supposed to be done with me and another individual. My roommate for the summer and I had sat down and started this the summer before my senior year of college. And we had come up with the whole entire deity system. We came up with like the characters and the basic plot line, but we didn't really envision it at the time going as far as I had taken it now. So that I think is the most interesting thing I've ever done, because when I actually took it and it became my project and she wasn't working on it with me anymore, I had half of the characters and she had the other half that went with the storyline that was going to eventually be merged. So I had Leo's half of the story, and she had Alrian's half of the story. So with the High Imperial Knight, she had that side of the story, while I had the assassin side. And for anyone who has read any part of the book, you might laugh at this, but initially, when the book first started out, Leo's character and Alrian's character were actually supposed to end up together. That was the way that my friend and I had plotted it out. The problem that I ran into as I was working with the characters, this is a perfect example of having to improvise because the characters weren't working with it. Leo's personality and Alrian's do not mesh in a way that would at all work well for a romantic relationship. They do eventually manage to get along, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of work, and both of them doing things to the point of having to save each other's lives before they had the respect to work together. And even then, they still tease each other, make fun of each other. It's more like a sibling rivalry by the end of it than it is anything else. And definitely at the beginning, it just did not work. So obviously a lot of things have changed from that. Because initially, the way the book was supposed to go is that Alrian caught Leo as the assassin, but she didn't turn him in right away. And she eventually came to see that he was maybe misguided in what he was choosing to do, but that he was actually a decent guy who really did care about people. And it was supposed to go that she fell in love with him and eventually convinced the king not to execute him when everything finally came out in the open. And then they were supposed to get married and happily ever after. Obviously, that didn't happen. Then Sarah showed up on the scene, and she is definitely a much better fit. She's able to understand his fears, his insecurities, his background, and the abuse that he suffered. So she's much better able to sympathize with him and to help him to learn to express himself on those issues in a healthy way. Arian's character just never could have done that. So I think that is like my most extreme example of characters changing how things go. Usually I don't give them quite that much freedom to change things, but really to me, getting inside the character's head means that I know them. They are as real to me as my best friend is real to me. So the same way that I know what my best friend is thinking should be the same way that I know what my character is thinking when they say or do something.
Alright, so the question for the record was that we were wondering, how do you deal with writer's block?
So for me, writer's block is like God leading my inspiration. So sometimes like he won't inspire me for books that he doesn't want me to write in that moment, and like maybe, you know, the next day I would write the same scene but do it better, or it would flow better or something. So I'll usually pray about it, and I'll try to get inspired for like either that scene or like read about it or get into it as much as I possibly can. And other times it's just me not wanting to write or just hitting writer's block and stuff. And my go-to person is always my husband, because we always bounce ideas off of each other. None of my ideas are ever just mine. They're always his too. And I'll be like, you know, Michael, help me with this scene idea or something like that, and we'll try to get me around whatever's blocking me. But like this year, because I've had to write 4,000 words a day, I literally just have to sit down and force myself to write. Like earlier tonight, I didn't really want to write. I wasn't into the scene. I was reading different outlines trying to figure out which book I should write in, which would be easier for me to get into, and I just had to sit down and start and literally force myself to type. And as I started writing the scene, I got into the scene and it started flowing and working better. So that's basically how I deal with writer's block.